happy na nga ako eh. I wait the day of turnover. Matikman ko rin yung feeling ng outgoing president. I will be the one to meet the new president. Then I will invite him here for a tokatis tea. Tapos yun. Paglabas ko dyan sa front gate, wala nang ang sundalo mag-salute yan sa iyo pag sa presidente ka pa. Paglabas ko dyan, pag turnover natin dito, ibigay ko na bagong presidente. Ang mga sundalo hindi na mag-salute. Ganon yan eh. That's the protocol. I make it public. Alam ng tao kung ano nang ginagawa. Nag-i-happy na po ako. Little over 3 months, yung excess wala na yun. So I should be out by March. Hindi ko na paabutin ng Abril. Hindi na matutulog rin dito. Kung saan ako dalhin ng Panginoong Diyos, mag-practice na ako tulog doon. Punta na lang ako dito for the day-to-day trabaho. What's left of the things that we have to work on. Yun ang I will make a speech one of these days thanking the people for the distinct honor of giving me the position as president. Never in my life did I, even during the time I filed my certificate, I really do not know what prompted me to do it, knowing that I need to have the resources.
The Newsday continues here on One News Now. I'm Charles Lejano. Some candidates have officially kicked off their respective campaigns as of this morning. The Robredo-Pangilinan tandem launched their campaign at the Angat Buhay Village in Lupi, Camarines Sur. The campaign kickoff was hosted by celebrities Jerry Pai Picache and Agot Isidro, and Vice President Leni Robredo and Senator Kiko Pangilinan were both present at the event. Speaking in Bicol's native language, Robredo tells her supporters to be brave as they join the fight for a better nation. Meanwhile, Manila Mayor Isko Moreno was at the Santo Niño de Tondo Parish to attend a mass ahead of his proclamation rally this afternoon. His proclamation rally will be held at 5 p.m. at the Katilla ng Katipunan beside Manila City Hall. Even before the official kickoff of the campaign season, presidential aspirants had already reportedly shelled out funds to run ads on traditional media platforms like TV and radio. So how much are candidates actually allowed to spend for their respective campaigns? Let's find out in this report from Greg Gregorio.
A few months before the campaign period begins, some aspirants have already spent at least $500 million for their advertisements on TV, radio, and even in print. That's according to a report by the Philippine Center for Investigative Journalism, or PCIJ, based on statistics from audience analytics company Nielsen. In that report, presidential aspirant and Senator Panfilo Lacson ranked first in spending of close to ₱1 billion for traditional media ads. Lacson is followed by Manila Mayor Isko Moreno with over 730 million pesos, Vice President Leni Robredo with 500 million pesos, former Senator Bongbong Marcos with 330 million pesos, and Senator Pacquiao with 1.7 million pesos. Election watchdog Legal Network for Truthful Elections, or Lentes, says spending is indeed part of a campaign, but they call on presidential aspirants to be transparent.
Saan ba nanggagaling yung panggastos nila para makakaroon ng ganyang kalaking gastos? Napakahalaga niyan kasi alam naman natin sa election sa Pilipinas, hindi ka naman nagbibigay para lang magbigay. At the end of the day, nagbibigay ka kasi may gusto kang makuha from the candidate. Kung manalo, yung kandidato at umupo sa pwesto. So gusto natin malaman sino ba yung mga organizations na yan or individuals.
But how much does the law really allow each candidate to spend in an election campaign? According to the Fair Elections Act, it depends on which positions candidates are running for, on the number of registered voters, and if they are running under a political party or not. In the case of presidential and vice presidential candidates, they are allowed to spend 10 pesos per registered voter. This means if there are 67 million voters, each of those running for the top positions are allowed to spend 670 million pesos at most. Lentes said this kind of spending must also be considered by the electorate or the public in choosing who are they going to vote for in the May polls.
Kasi iyan ay may direct relation sa governance o pamamahala na makukuha natin after each election.
Presidential aspirant and Senator Lacson had earlier denied the results shown by PCIJ. Lacson said the reported figures are not true and that they do not actually have this much of a budget to spend. The Commission on Elections meanwhile clarified that they do not monitor aspirants' spending prior to the campaign period, which only starts today.
What we could regulate is yung pong campaigns that will be held within the campaign period na kung saan, doon na po mag-a-apply lahat po ng guidelines which the candidates need to abide.
And since candidates will only file their statements of contributions and expenditure or SOSE after the elections, among the things COMELEC can actually monitor starting today is their compliance with guidelines for campaigning, especially during this pandemic. For News 5, Greg Gregorio, we are One News.
President Duterte says he will not be supporting any presidential candidate for now. During his talk to the people that aired last night, Duterte said that there are some presidential candidates who approached him for support in the May elections. But he said that right now, he's still thinking about it. And Duterte added that he's looking for someone who would not compromise the government's interests.
Those running now are qualified to be president, but at this time, I am saying that I'm not supporting anybody.
Duterte also said that he is now preparing for his turnover come June. And the president says he has already sent some of his belongings home. He added that by March, he will no longer sleep at the palace, and instead, he will only come and go daily to do his job.
I-impake na po ako. A little over 3 months, yung excess wala na yun. So I should be out by March. Hindi ko na paabutin ng Abril. Hindi na matutulog rin dito.
The latest SWS survey shows President Duterte's net satisfaction rating is still at a very good level. Duterte got a plus 60 rating on the 2021 SWS survey, and this is 8% higher than his rating back in September. According to SWS President and CEO Linda Guerrero, the possible factors that affected his rating are his strong base support, his perceived decisiveness in facing issues, and the president's relatable, simple living. Meanwhile, Presidential Advisor for Political Affairs Jacinto Paras says, if it weren't for the Constitution, local political leaders would want Duterte to stay in power.
It's not only for our Constitution, they would want you to continue in your governance of this country. Yun po ang naririnig ko sa mga karamihan ng mga political leaders po.
In other news, Metro Manila's positivity rate for COVID-19 has dropped to below 10%. This was confirmed by OCTA research fellow Guido David. Just like the positivity rate, the average daily attack rate in NCR has also dropped to below 10, and while the region's reproduction number stood at 0.3. At this rate, David says the NCR could have less than 200 new daily cases by the end of February. Parents and children trooped to vaccination centers on Monday for the first day of inoculation for kids aged 5 to 11. Marian Enriquez with a recap of yesterday's activities.
Parents and their kids lined up at the Philippine Children's Medical Center in Quezon City for the pilot rollout of shots for age group 5 to 11. Thea and her 7-year-old son Enzo were among those who registered.
Gusto ko at least kahit paano protected na kaming lahat sa family.
The process is similar with vaccinations for adults. The kids will be accompanied by their parents or guardian throughout the process.
Hindi lang masakit. Excited po ako. Bakit? Kasi po pwede na ako lumabas after.
We believe that it will benefit them more than the negative that it will give them.
About 80 kids were vaccinated this morning at the PCMC. They were given bags with toys, vitamins, snacks, and drawing materials. However, some parents are still hesitant to get their kids jabbed. Former reporter Dominic Almelor is among those who oppose the vaccination of the age group. Almelor, who has a 7-year-old son, filed a petition to stop the move before the Quezon City Regional Trial Court. He says he's fearing that the vaccine might do more harm than good.
Payag ba tayo na pag-eksperimentohan yung mga anak natin na parang mga hayop?
But Health Secretary Francisco Duque III clarifies that the vaccine expert panel and the Food and Drug Administration thoroughly studied the vaccine's safety for children.
Risk of the minor side effects versus the benefits of being able to start face-to-face classes, and the risks are manageable.
Duque added that the DOH has recalled the provision in their previous memo, which allows the state to give consent on behalf of the child who is willing to receive COVID-19 shots. This is if their parents refuses. Duque says the state may step in only in cases where the child has no parent or designated authorized guardian. For News 5, Marian Enriquez, we are One News.
Here's a quick look at some of today's headlines. President Duterte says he's not supporting any presidential candidate in this year's polls. The campaign period officially begins today, and some presidentiables are not wasting any time as they begin their campaign activities early. And campaign hashtags are taking the internet by storm ahead of the proclamation rallies of presidentiables. Hashtag Kulay Rosas ang bukas topped the Twitter trends, while hashtag Uniteam PH Arena 2022 was also part of the trends list. And those are the top stories at this hour. Join us again later at 11 a.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on Signal Play. Register for a free account at www.signalplay.com so you can stream One News live anytime and anywhere. I'm Charles Lejano. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. We are One News.